We have one other thing that we have to talk about.
Yeah.
On this show, June 24th, we were on this program, this here program. Now, I went on quite a heated rant on the Russ Joy Show, wherever you can get your podcasts and on YouTube. And I saw that as soon as we went live, longtime listener of the show, Brian Knowlton, threw a comment in the comment section that said, "I'm here for another Russ rant." I don't have it in me to give you another Russ rant. I've already gotten it out of my system, okay? I don't have it. But I noticed that once again, there are people that for whatever reason, it's because I discredited somebody's bullshit report.
This is my
30, there they go. Summerman. Damn it. Yeah, 39-minute mark.
Yeah.
On this show, on the 24th, we were talking about the fact that there was going to be some news coming. Now, we knew at that point that Tyson Foerster had an injury. We knew that. We didn't know the extent of the injury. We didn't know specifically what the injury was. This was sourced info. This was not the person DMing people on Twitter, because I saw that going around today.
I can't tell you. Let me just say up front.
What?
How many people DM'd me that I did not answer with this injury. So it was obviously out there in the world, even though no reporters reported it. It was certainly out there in the world. Yeah.
And I put out to you a few days ago, I was like, listen, it's circulating. Clearly somebody's getting it out there. Like, we could just put it out, and we didn't. And it's rare that we kind of hold back info like that. But with an injury like this, what's the worst thing you could do? Speculate on what the injury is until you have confirmation. This was one of those times where with an injury, when we didn't know the severity, there were people saying this could be a 6-month injury. There were some saying 3 months. There were some saying he might be able to resume activity in a month. You can't put that out. And by the way, the people who are like, oh, well, why didn't you just say Tyson Foerster's injured, but we don't know the severity? Because guys get hurt a lot. And in the course of a season, guys get hurt a lot. Guys get injured. You don't report on every injury that happens to a player. If you did,
here's
every episode would be filled with an injury update.
Yeah, here's one thing I would say, though. I think if the season was going... First of all, I'll say this. I know for a fact I wasn't the only reporter who was aware of this. So, like, I was not... It's not like this was exclusively Ants and oh, my God, he's got this super-duper scoop. Like... There were other reporters who knew this as well, okay? Mm-hmm. And if you go out there, you could probably figure out a couple of them because they reported immediately at the same time relatively that I did today. So that's first and foremost. But also, I would say that if this was in season, I probably would have reported it last week because it would be affecting the team in the games that are being played on a daily basis, right? If it's in the summertime, there's no rush to report something, especially if you didn't have all the details, right? Which we still don't have all the details. We have some of the details, and some of what you heard in Danny Briere's press conference today is there. I'll tell you that I don't think we've still heard everything. And
Danny said today that there's an infection. Okay, well, there are a whole bunch of different ways infections could happen. Could he have suffered an injury to his bicep or his tricep? Yes. Could that have eventually gotten infected? Sure. Could there have been a surgery that we don't know about and there was a complication, there was infection? Maybe. Who knows? We don't know. We're not going to speculate on it. But there are a whole bunch of ways that this kind of thing could happen. Could he have ended up with, Danny said there was an injury at Worlds. Could he have had something like some kind of inflammation that ultimately got infected? Could that have spread its way up his arm? A lot of different things could happen. Could that have also like led to tenderness or to some other kind of issue? Maybe you're like working out or whatever and you exacerbate the injury or something's weakened. Like there's so many things we don't know yet. And so it's just like there's this immediate need for people to then just kind of jump all over it. And like, so he's out and that sucks because Danny runs into these things a couple of times. Like it happens every once in a while. English isn't his first language. He speaks very good English, but it's not his first language. And sometimes in the midst of that internal translating, he'll say something that I don't think he means, or he'll get tripped up on something. In this case, it was like, it might have been you asking or somebody about the replacement. Could there have been a replacement? He said, well, I don't think he's going to be out the whole year. Well, I hope he's not out the whole year. And you're like, well, of course. But like there has been no indication, even from back channels, that it's going to be the whole year. It could be a few months of the season. It could also be he's back by the end of camp. There's a wide variance here, which is why we didn't come on the show on the 24th and say, he's hurt. We didn't know how bad. And in fairness, even after Danny's presser today, he didn't say, this is how it happened, this is where it happened, this is the original injury, this is how the infection happened. We don't also expect him to do that. But there's a lot of nuance. And some people just like to kind of run onto it. And I see this person's been commenting, so I'll shout them out quick. Sir5059 says, Ant touted it like with some big news. Still waiting for the aha moves that were going to lead the news. I'll give one to you. There were names that we talked about on this show. There were wingers that we talked about on this show. There were some things going around in the background. Could the Flyers potentially target this wing, that wing? One re-signed with his team. Another one's out on the market. There was one that we saw floating around today, and Corey Perry, his name floated around. And we said that the aha moments were going to be, if the Flyers had signed one of these guys, you'd been like, why the hell did they do that? And then when the news would break about Tyson Foerster, you'd go, aha, there it is. That's what makes sense. They just didn't end up signing one of those wingers.
But another thing that I think is worth bringing up at this point, because you talk about this injury to Tyson Foerster, and he's going to miss time, is the names that Danny brought up when I asked him about this today at the press conference, as who could potentially replace him since they didn't go out and get somebody in free agency. Like, who would they potentially put in those spots? And the first two names he mentioned were Alex Bump and Porter Martone.
Ha-ha!
Now, I'll tell you, Alex Bump didn't surprise me one little bit, right?
No.
I think Alex, I thought all along that they looked at Alex Bump as a guy who was a real shot to make this team. Mm-hmm. But I'll tell you that I was a little bit surprised at his answer about Martone, because I kind of thought that he might. I didn't think there was a player in this draft, in all honesty, who was NHL ready. From people that I talked to, like, it just seemed like, from talking to some scouts, it was like, yeah, they all need another year. So to hear him say Martone, now it could be a thing where it's done motivationally. Let's see what this kid does. If he thinks he's, comes in and is trying to wow us and whatever, maybe he comes in and blows us away and we give him a spot. Maybe it's one of those things like they did with Luchenko last year, where it's like, hey, you're going to have a great camp and we're going to reward you with a few games and then you'll go back, right? I mean, so there's a lot of different paths that can go. But the fact that he mentioned Martone in that was a little bit of an aha for me, like, because I didn't necessarily think that was a path that they would consider going down. So I think that that's a really interesting thing. Also, considering you got to wonder, is Martone going to go to college? Is he not going to go to college hockey? There's a lot of talk about him.
Intern Andrew's going to be really bummed out if Porter Martone isn't playing at Penn State. Along with Gavin McKenna, who, if half of Flyers Twitter is to be believed, the Flyers are going to be in on McKenna in the lottery. I don't know.
Yeah,
I don't know.
Anyway, I thought that those were really interesting answers, and I still think ultimately it's going to be Bump who gets more time at the NHL level. But
for sure,
I'm now interested to watch that quote unquote competition for that spot.
Yeah. Well, and it's a good sign, if nothing else. Like, Martone's going to come into camp. People are going to be excited, the same way they were in some way for Mishkov, right? And the nice thing is that with a lot of these centers, you were talking about 2-3 years at the soonest. And with Martone, it was probably 1 year of college, and then 26, 27, he'll have a legit chance to make the team. If he does everything the right way, he can bring immediate size. Yeah, he's young. Yeah, he hasn't filled out the frame yet. Sure, he's not going to be the same size that he'll be at like 25 or 26. But if he impresses you in camp, they are in a position, once again, where like they don't have to win. There are no expectations for them to actually contend or compete. They could give him, correct me if I'm wrong, they could still give him that 8-game look at the start of the season, and then he could go play in college, correct? It's it's akin to what Lashenko was able to do going back to Guelph, right? I don't think there's an NCAA regulation that prevents it, is there? Or maybe there is because it's a pro to college. Okay.
Pro to NHL to college is.
So if he doesn't, all right. So if he doesn't blow you away in camp, he easily goes back to college. If he does blow you away, there are worse things in the world, right? There's certainly worse things than having your first round pick make an impact sooner than expected.
No, I agree.
I don't think it'll happen.
No, I
but
agree.
It'd be pretty cool.
No, I absolutely 100% agree. Like that would be something, right? I mean, because I didn't think that was a thing that they were really looking at him as a potential NHL guy.